Hello and welcome to episode 6 of The Australian Runner, a show about running and everything running related. I'm Ben, and with me is Chris.
Hello.
Alright, let's get started. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about New Year's goals and resolutions, because it's just the start of 2017, so we thought it would be a good time to talk about things that we wanted to achieve for the rest of the year.
Yep.
So Chris, do you have any goals that you've already set, like from last year or for this season? And how did you find them? Were they useful?
Yeah, well, at the start of this season, I set myself 3 goals. For the 400 metres to break 50 seconds, for the 800 metres to break 2 minutes, and for the 1500 to break 4 minutes 30. So far, I've achieved one of my goals. I broke 4:30 the other week. I ran 4:26. And so far this season, I've reduced my PB or improved on it by already 20 seconds. So I've already achieved that goal. I'm pretty happy where I'm at. The other 2 goals I haven't got there yet, but I've been running well in both events, and hopefully by the end of Feb and March, I've achieved those goals as well.
Yeah, and do you think that just helped you stay a bit more focused if you had a time that you were specifically looking to run rather than just trying to run faster, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. I find that goals always help keep me focused and motivate me to work even harder. After you see a good result, you're like, oh, I've got to improve now 3 seconds. If I just work a little bit harder the next 3-4 weeks, hopefully I'll start chipping away at that, eating that. And just that longer term goal just helps me always want to go to training, want to run, and motivates me to do the next session.
Yeah, because it's a bit different if you're not competing in like big tournaments, because if you're, I don't know, someone like an Olympian, it's easy if you're gonna be placed in the middle of the field. You can find, alright, I want to beat this person next tournament. But with non-elite athletes, people who like running like us, and you compete just in amateur level, it's a bit harder to sort of set some goals.
Yeah, definitely. I reckon that for most amateurs, it's all just about beating yourself, setting PBs, improving your times. I mean, most elite athletes, they'll have goals such as qualify for the Olympics, qualify for the semi-finals, qualify for the final, podium, win gold.
Yeah.
And their goals will be more about placing and ranking rather than actual set times. But I think most amateurs should be about doing the best they can and getting the most out of themselves.
And an important thing that we've been thinking about is how you should sort of structure your goals, because you don't want goals that are too easy or too hard. You want them to be achievable.
Yep.
Because if they're too easy, you get them in the first week of the season or in 3 weeks' time. Sure, you can just keep setting goals for yourself, but it's really that sense of accomplishment and what you're striving for. And if you set them too hard, you don't think you'll ever set the goal. It sort of brings down your motivation as well.
Yeah, so with your goals that you've set, you need to implement a good plan to achieve them and make sure that those goals are tough but achievable. I was listening to a podcast with Justin Rinaldi, a gun 800 meter coach, and he was speaking about, for his athletes, they have the same goal every year, and that's to improve their times by 1 second. I mean, they're very elite, and they find it tough to make every little improvement. But he also spoke about how they shouldn't get greedy. They run their 1 second PB early on in the season. They say, let's not change our training too much. We've achieved it, but let's just keep this consistent training. We've achieved our goal, but now next season, let's try to get that next second. And they're trying not to make huge leaps and jumps and making their goals too tough, because then they're worried that the likelihood of them being injured will be much greater if they try to push too hard to achieve tougher goals.
Yeah, so it's all about being sort of realistic about the goals. You want to push yourself, but you don't want to push yourself too hard.
Yeah, 100%.
Now we can just talk about goals that we've set for ourselves for this coming year. So Chris, why don't you start?
I've come up with a slogan this year that I'm going to try and stick by. It's work harder, run more. So the work harder is just about my uni life and all of that. But let's focus on the running. Run more. As I said, I've already still got my 3 goals for this season still that I'm trying to finish. And so really this will be after the track season's finished. I'm running about 40 kilometers a week as it stands at the moment. And I'm really keen to get that up by the end of the year to be about 70 kilometers per week, give or take a little bit. And my aim is just to build it up slowly over time so that by like June, July, I'm up to about 55. So I've already increased 15, and then by the end of the year to be 70 odd. So it's going to be gradual. I don't want to increase any week by more than like 3 or 5 kilometers, and then I'll hold that for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'll put so it'll be a slow, gradual build up over the end of the season. Hopefully, with that, my longer events PBs will start to improve. So I've already improved my 1500 meter PB this season. Hopefully, maybe my 3K, 5K PB can also be improved with upping the mileage. So that's really my goal for the year, just to be able to run more without getting injured.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good game plan because it's achievable, it's still pretty tough, measurable as well, and it'll give you some results that you'll be clearly able to see next season.
What about you, Benny? What's your athletics or running goal for this year?
Well, my goals are more about getting faster. So at the moment, we spoke about this a couple of episodes ago. You're the track runner, you do your 400, 800, 1500 meters.
Yep.
Whereas I'm running for hockey. So at the moment, I'm just doing 5-6 kilometer runs a couple of times a week, getting up around 20k a week, that sort of thing, to increase my aerobic capacity. But for the rest of this year, I want to focus on getting faster. So doing some training sessions that are more like 800 meter specific, because I think that's probably the optimal distance for those training sessions. Because in a match of hockey, you cover maybe about 6k a game, and most of it is in like sprints of maybe 50 to 80 meters. And obviously you have to run that out for the full game, which is 70 minutes long. So with those sprints, I just feel like about an 800 meter training session, that'd probably be the best for being fast, but also having the aerobic capacity to run out the game. And then also in a more of a strength side, want to start working out a bit more, especially on the quads, because most of the time hockey you're in a sort of half crouch, so it really puts pressure on there. So building that up and getting it a bit stronger is also something that I think would be really beneficial. But apart from that, they're my only goals for the rest of the year, to do some more speed work and to like strengthen my legs a bit more.
Yeah, nice.
And then obviously they'll help out in all parts of my game. So I think they're our goals. I think we've said everything we've wanted to say about that.
Yeah.
Remember, without a goal you can't score, as they say. So things to take away: to make your goals tough but not impossible, which will give you something to strive towards for the rest of the season or year without getting too demotivated or risk too much of an injury. Alright, now we'll hand it over to Chris for the news.
Alright, so it's been the Christmas New Year period, and down in Tasmania they have the Sports Carnival Association of Tasmania put on a series of professional handicap events. We've seen a lot of big names down there this year, including Jen LaCars, Gregson, Stuart McSwain, Geordie Williams, Millie Clark, Morgan Mitchell, Aaron Stubbs, Zoe Buckman, Josh Harris, Paralympian, Dean McKenzie, Josh Ralph, Georgia Wassel and Jack Hale. So good group of elite athletes headed down there. The first one was the Latrobe, and Sam Baird from Old Melburnians took out the 120 metre gift, and Olympian Morgan Mitchell won the women's 120 metre gift. Jordan Tyler took out the metric mile. Abby Delamotte had a huge day. She ran the metric mile as well, the 1600, and then ran the heat and then won the final of the 400 metres. So 3 races in the day. She did very well. Then they moved on to Devonport. Stuart McSwain won the mile, and that caused him to be moved back for the next race. Morgan Mitchell won the 400 metre gift from scratch. outstanding effort, doubling up there after winning the 120 metre gift earlier. Will Johns won the men's 400 metre gift off 16 metres. And then they headed down to Burnie for the last meet in the series. Ryan Gregson won the Burnie mile from scratch in 4:03, just ahead of another back marker in Stuart McSwain, who previously won the Devonport mile. Great running from Gregson. There was, I think, $3,000 on the line if he could break 4 minutes. Couldn't quite, but he would have definitely run over a mile just because he had to go around everyone and pass them all. And Morgan Gaffney won the women's gift for the 3rd time, so outstanding performance from her. And that just about wraps up our news segment for the week.
Alright, so thanks for that, Chris. And that wraps it up for this week's episode. So thank you everyone for listening. You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud and iTunes as The Australian Runner. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. So see you next week.
See you then.